Hello, everybody. I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes just to make sure that everybody is able to see me and able to hear me. But please do let me know that you are listening and that you are here, because in a moment I will start talking about what we can do to help our children when we've hit summer and we've got only 3 months to go. So hopefully you're joining me for this short live this evening so that we can chat all about summer plans. But please do let me know that you are here, that you are live, and I'll begin in a couple of minutes. So do let me know. Just drop a message into the comments, and just show me that you are here, because I really could do with knowing. So perfect. All right. So hopefully I'm just going to check in, make sure everyone can hear me. Please tell me that I am live and that you can hear me if you are watching me. And thank you ever so much for joining me this evening. So I should be, there we are. I am just streaming. I'm going to just drop down here. And hopefully people can come and join me. All right. Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. Oh, it's good to see everybody. It's been a little while. I've been in the Bahamas for the last 10 weeks, helping some students out there, and one in particular who's coming over to the UK to take his 11 plus. So it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back in the UK. I got a bit of a tan, which is nice, but it's good to see everybody. Also this evening, I am in honor of this live, I'm sporting my admin's t-shirt. So thanks for everybody here in the 11 plus journey. Here's my snazzy t-shirt that not many people get to see because often I'm sitting down, but hopefully you'll enjoy that. All right. So as I said, I'm going to start. And if you can see me, if you can hear me, if you've got questions, pop them in the chat. I'd really love to hear from you. And if you're watching this on replay, let me know that you're watching it on replay as well. So hopefully you might have joined. I did a live last month, which was 4 months to go. And I'm going to be doing this as a countdown in the group so that I can be there with you as this exam gets nearer and nearer. And just to kind of introduce myself to you guys, if you're new, I'm an admin here at the 11 plus journey. I run my own tuition agency called the Education Hotel, and I have been a tutor for over 11 years, and I specifically focus on 11 plus selective entrance and getting people into highly selective schools. I myself took the 11 plus. I went to a grammar school. From there, I went on to Oxford University. I trained as a teacher, and then I came back into tutoring. So I know that for me, the 11 plus was really important. Was really the school that I wanted to go to. It was where I felt like I fit in. And so I really like doing these lives and helping students who, again, want to find the school where they fit. So that's a little bit about me, but let's focus on what we're here for. We're here because it is the last half term of the year, and you're approaching summer. Some of my students elsewhere have already broken up, and if you joined me for the last live, you would have seen this slide. There's some new stuff in this talk, I promise, because we're getting closer and closer. So what can we do if it's the last half term of the year? Well, the first thing we can do is we can celebrate. And this is along with your child, right? If you are last half term, even if you're in the last half term of year 4, if you're in the last half term of year 4 or year 5, celebrate, because you have put a load of effort in, and so has your child, to get to this point. Regardless, and I was talking to someone this morning about the exam, regardless of the result of the 11 plus, the fact that your child has dedicated so much time, so much energy towards this exam, it's something that really should be celebrated, because they have shown that they can sit, they can focus, they can work in this way, and they can improve their own grades, and that's really important, especially as we go further on for GCSEs, for A levels. So celebrate, and maybe dig out some of that old work that you did with them, and remind them how far they have actually come. And then if you are, especially if you're in year 5 and you're going to be doing work over the summer, and even if you're in year 4 and you're doing work over the summer, come together as a team. And often I say this to parents, they're like, oh no, because it's really hard to work with my child, or my child won't listen to me. You guys are a team, regardless of whether you're with a tutor, regardless of whether you're with a tuition company, you guys are a team. So get ready to work together as that team. That means discussing things. That means being a little bit flexible sometimes so that you both can get what you want. Openly discuss the schedule. And I've got another slide on that, because I think it's so important to be open about this communication so that our children do not suddenly have a big surprise when the first day of summer holidays starts and you wake up at 9 o'clock and say, right, this is it, we're starting on 11 plus. And they've been expecting a completely different summer. So make sure that you've been open, that you've discussed why you're aiming for this, why you want to go to this school, why it's important, but also the nitty gritty, those little bits of detail about the schedule. And down there as well, I've got, don't just focus on past papers. If you're in year 5 and you're approaching the exam, it can be really, really easy to just feel like all we've got to do is papers and papers and papers. But you need to be able to, A, mix it up a little bit, but B, reflect on those papers. You can't just do one, file it and move on, because you won't see that improvement. So if you are going to be doing lots of papers, make sure that you set time aside to discuss those mistakes, to work on those mistakes, and to work on the topics that they bring up. Okay, other bits that are important now that we really are into the last half term of the year, get your resources ready. So I've got, I run a daily resource group. It's down on WhatsApp. I can add the link into it. It should be already in the group. Again, it's short little resources. Make sure that you've got them. Make sure that you've got access to them. Add in things like games online. You may have, stayed away from online activities, but if you're in that final stage, you might need something for the point that your child is kind of not necessarily feeling it. And actually you can say, you know what, let's do some free rows. Let's do a little bit of math games. Let's find something that is a little bit less strenuous. Atom's really great for short online learning. Boffer, Chakra, all sorts of kind of online services that might make it a little bit more varied. But don't forget things like board games as well. So things like Scrabble can be really great in terms of adding new vocabulary. Bananagrams. You've got, what's it called? Rubicon? The one with the dominoes. I can't remember what it's called. You've got things like even just battleships. Like, actually, you're doing some coordinate work there. So don't be afraid to just spend those kind of extra couple of minutes just playing some games. Get the family events in the calendar, because there is nothing worse than having sat down, ready to start, and your child's on board, and you're going to sit down, you're going to do 2 hours of work, you're going to do a paper, and suddenly someone drops around, ding dong on the doorbell, and maybe they brought their child with them, maybe it's their grandparents, and they've just dropped in on the off chance that you're there. And if they don't know that you're doing 11 plus, obviously it's up to you who you choose to tell, but it's going to make it harder if family is continually popping around unannounced, even if you're keeping your child in another room and they're working and you're dealing with parents, grandparents, whatever, they're still going to feel like they're missing out. So make sure that you schedule that in. There is absolutely no reason to not have them round, but make sure that it's scheduled so that both you and your child can relax, can meet with family, friends, and not feel guilty about it. So get those family events in the calendar. Start, if you haven't already, and again, it's really dependent, but start to work on boosting confidence. Because at this point, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, we often sometimes see people's confidence start to decrease. Some students really start to doubt their abilities, and we really want students going into the 11 plus feeling confident, feeling like I've done the best preparation that I ever could have. And, whatever the result is, I feel like I'm doing my best. And if you haven't already done so, and you're in that last half term and you're with a tutoring agency, a tutoring company, reach out to them because they might be doing something over summer that you're not aware of. They might be running additional classes. They might have additional homework. Make sure that you've reached out to them and you've asked them, because the worst thing to do would be to assume that they're not running over summer, and actually they are. And especially if that is somebody that your child has brought up a really great rapport with, then do go to them and do make sure that you have asked them, you've chatted with them about what's happening. I'm a really big fan of a public timetable. And really, I do mean kind of on the fridge public, because I think it's really useful to hold you as a parent and your child accountable. I did the 11 plus. I have worked with hundreds of students, and I see two things that often happen. Number one is if that timetable is not public, your child doesn't know what they're doing, and therefore they'll push that boundary continually. So it would be, well, you didn't say that I had to do an hour today. You didn't say that. You didn't say that. A lot of arguments around it, a lot of ill feeling, a lot of continually feeling like we're just pushing our children too much. And actually, that's because they're not clear on what's happening. And then the other side, I see parents who go, oh, let's just add an extra bit here. Let's just schedule another hour. Let's just do another work, but do another paper. And actually, from a child's point of view, they've put their all into that preparation that you've done that day, the preparation you've done that week. And suddenly that doesn't matter because you've scheduled an extra lesson. Or maybe they haven't scored as well as you'd hoped in an exam. And so you think, I'm going to do this and it's going to be the thing that they need. Make sure that stuff is communicated. Make sure you're not just springing it on them, because that can really feel like, my parents don't believe in me, or indeed, they're just putting additional work on me. So really try and hold you both accountable. As I said before, you are a team. You guys, you work together. And then add in fun, because really nobody can get through summer just sitting down 9 until 5 and going through 11 plus prep. You've got to add in some fun stuff too. And that can be meeting with friends and family. That could be a day out. It could be even just something similar, like something like going for a walk in the morning, both of you together, going for a morning run. That is some people's idea of fun, not necessarily mine. But maybe cooking together, baking, doing something that the two of you do can be really useful for really spending time together. But don't forget, some fun stuff can be linked to learning as well. So I mentioned Scrabble, I mentioned bananagrams. They're some of my favorite things to do. I love things like Rory's story cubes, they're little dice with pictures. I do loads of creative writing practice with my students, or vocab and literary techniques through that. We will do a competition sometimes between us where we'll set 10 questions for each other and then we'll swap them. All sorts of just fun things, but they can be slightly linked to 11 plus. You can go on a walk and you can tell each other stories. Or I've been working with some of my students in year 5 over in the Bahamas. We've really got into consequences, which is where you take a long piece of paper, you write a boy's name, a girl's name, what they said, where they met, what happened, and we'll play that. And then we'll go and write a story all about it. And really what we're doing is we're just introducing a little bit of fun into that timetable and making sure that it's not just paper practice and workbooks. Also, consider rewards. And I know that at some point on the 11 plus journey several years ago, Sheena and I did a talk. Sheena, as you know, is the author of the Cadwallader Quests, and she took her children through 11 plus as well. And we discussed the use of rewards, and I really am a big proponent for rewards. You know, whether it's a sticker, whether it's 10 minutes on the PS4, whether it is whether it's whatever it is, ice cream for dessert. Sometimes you just got to have it. That's the way to get through to a child, and it can easily be it can easily be put into, not necessarily into a timetable, but make sure that they know it's there for those things. It could be a reward for doing well, but it also could be a reward just for putting the effort in, because sometimes we do need to reward ourselves and our children for just turning up and putting that effort in, especially when you consider that lots of their friends are not doing this preparation. Also consider things like brain breaks, activity breaks. So a quick little kind of brain break that I do with my students, if they've just sat through a really intensive they've been really intensive paper, for example, and I don't want them, because often I work intensively with my guys, I don't want them wandering off. I don't want them watching the TV. I don't want them going and getting a snack. I will sit there and I'll do a brain break with them. And it can be simple things like having so this is a kind of a circular circle. I don't know how to really describe it, but it's like a little mind gym kind of exercise where we rotate our fingers in front and then we switch and we see if we can go back. And actually it's quite hard to do whilst talking. And the other one is where you go from big circles to small circles with one hand, and then from small circles to big circles with the other. And it's always just, it's a fun little thing to do. You can laugh at how badly someone like me is doing it. Or it could be you're going to get up and you're going to do 6-3 star jumps. I've been doing that quite a lot with my students. I'm going to do 5 times 3 bunny hops, and sometimes just bringing that little bit of math in there makes them think and makes them work. So really having those interesting activity breaks just to break up some of the work. So yeah, hopefully this is giving you some ideas about what to do, what to plan for in summer, but do try and make sure that there's that accountability, that that kind of public timetable. And it doesn't have to be public for everyone. If you're worried about friends and family coming around and seeing that 11 plus timetable, maybe you're worried that you might someone might say something, you can keep it upstairs where no one's going to see it. But do try and have it so that your child's got it, you've got it, and it's an agreement between you. I can't go through what to do in summer without considering summer courses. And there's loads out there. We do them, other people do them, and there are several different types. So there's 1 week and under, and these can be really useful for focusing in on one little area, and it allows somebody to take multiple options. Or there are some that are longer than a week, and for those, they are typically more intensive. They've usually got the same group of students in them, so they can bond with each other, they compete with each other, and they often include the chance to do lots more stuff like mocks. Again, I'm going to add a link at the end where you guys can book a call in with me, and we can always chat about that kind of thing. But I don't want to spend too long on it because I really want to get onto what you can do in summer. But just to mention that the 11 plus journey does have a course out if you are looking at what you should be doing and how you should be preparing, then that is available on their website as well. So there we are. Summer courses, they exist. There's lots of choice out there. Do your research, do your homework, and have a think about whether that 1 week or longer than 1 week will suit you. Now, what if you've been listening to me and you're thinking, oh, that's all very well and good, Gemma, but I have a student who is in year 4. Well, here's a bit of advice for you guys as well. So now is a great time to consolidate. So Again, get hold of a checklist, drop us a message, drop me a message if you need one, because I've got them and I can send them over. Tick off what you've done, right? Tick off, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. My child knows how to do this bit, because that allows you to have a real good picture going into 2023 September, new academic year. If you've not started on one area of 11 plus, some people do the math and the English first, and then they add in maybe the creative writing or the non-verbal reasoning or the verbal. Then now is a great chance to try and add that in, because it can be a really good kind of group of time to really kind of focus in. Get on the school's mailing lists. So if you can, make sure that you are registered, you're kind of in the inbox. Often schools have like a mailing list for people who are preparing to do the 11 plus. Drop the schools a message, tell them that that's what you're looking to do, because as we know from what happened with some of the CSSEs and some of the CEM stuff, we are changing. The examples are changing. CCHS, my old school, is using Future Stories this year, and that's something that gets released out and usually gets emailed out. But if you're not on the mailing list, you might not catch it. Sort out September 2023, and by that I mean, if you're planning on taking tuition with a tuition group, get it sorted. Know what they're doing, know when they're doing it. We're releasing ours imminently, because again, it gets booked, and once it's booked, everyone knows what's happening. We get nice and organized. And if you can, tour the schools. So try and book in those tours, because they get booked really quickly. And if they get booked really quickly, then you may not be able to tour them. If you have not managed to tour them and you're in year 5, then you might be interested in going something like their school summer fete, or if they've got a play on, or if they've got an open evening, but it's for something else you might be interested. Just having a quick look. Summer fates are always really useful, because it allows you to support the school, but it also allows your child to see how fun it could be to be there. And then do a bit of research. If you've got several target schools, make sure that what was what the dates they set their 11 plus in this year. So if you're in year 4, you've still got that extra year to go. Then knowing that, say they had 3 dates that they did 11 plus on, and they were all really early September, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, they're more likely to be the same next year. So then you can start to have in your mind, okay, we've got an idea about what's happening. Know if they run things like PTA mocks, Parent Teacher Association mocks, because those might be the things you're looking to book in next year. So try and do a bit of research and really kind of get your ducks in a row, and make sure that you are really ready to focus. For year 5, you'll be focusing a lot on the academics, the exam taking, and that you're not having to go and deal with the school changing dates or changing boards, and actually you are abreast of all that information. So get organized is my big thing for a year 4 parent right now, whilst your child's doing all of the stuff, finishing school, in between sports days, in between school plays. Try and get this ticked off, because once it's done, you're in a much better position for year 5. Okay, now I thought that I would focus on one of the big things that I hear from a lot of parents. I speak to a lot, because I run over the summer period. I run free consultations, and I'll add a link. That's absolutely fine. I'll add a link to the comments so that you can book in. And I speak to parents, and usually there's two issues, and it's underconfidence or overconfidence. And we do get students at this point saying, I can't do it. I'm really rubbish at creative writing, comprehension, math, fractions, verbal reasoning, nets, whatever that might be. And occasionally we get people saying, I don't want to do it anymore. And that happens. And I want you to know that if you are sitting there as a parent and your child has said that, you are not alone, because lots of children get to this point where they've worked really hard throughout the year, and they can see that they've got another couple of months to still do it, and they feel like, you know what, this is it. and I don't want to do it anymore, and I don't feel like I can get in. And actually, if you are hearing that, then you definitely are not alone. And this is the type of advice that I give someone when they speak to me about this. So I ask them to share when they've struggled, as a parent, when you've struggled, and how you got back. So it could be really simple. Like, I didn't get cast as the lead in my school play, and I really, really wanted to. Um, and I didn't get that opportunity, but I made the most out of the role that I did get cast, and I learned loads of things. And what I did was, next year I joined a theatre group and I did get cast as the lead. Now, this doesn't have to be a sit down and talk about 11 plus. This is just a dinner conversation. But what you're doing is you're introducing your child to the fact that everybody does not necessarily find it easy, and everybody does struggle with things and doesn't always get exactly what they want, maybe the score that they wanted in a mock exam. And actually, you know what, you can change it. And by introducing this, we call it growth mindset, we introduce this idea of, instead of I can't do it, it's I can't do it yet, but this is what I'm going to do in order to make sure that I can. And there's lots of ways that you can really build a child's confidence, but I really do feel that sharing and talking and working with them can often help. Look into, if they've got a favorite celebrity, sports star, whoever, look into points where they've not got exactly what they want. And sports stars are great for this because they don't win every match. They go onto the court to win. And that's what I have as a mantra for one of my students. I go on the court to win, because he's really into tennis. And he was feeling like he just couldn't do it. And I said to him, when you go onto the tennis court, do you just give up the moment you step on? No, you go on the court to win. But but every great tennis star has had a point where they haven't won, and it's about what they do and how they progress further and what they learn from that. So really do start sharing with your child and start looking into these points where maybe someone was underconfident, or where they didn't necessarily get exactly what they wanted, and how actually it's ended up really helping them, and really helping with their resilience. One of the other things, as I said there, work on confidence mantras. Now, I suppose I'm known for being quite a analytical tutor, and not necessarily a tutor that focuses so much on the kind of mindset, but it is something that we include in our summer courses. And one of the things that I ask the students to come up with is confidence mantras. So something that you can look yourself in the mirror and you can tell yourself that you are going to be great. And you can do it, and you do it over and over again. And it doesn't have to be you are going to be great. As I said, the student I've been working with recently, I go on the court to win. And that's what he says. Every time he takes an exam, I go on the court to win. Just reminds him. Just little things to build our confidence. And then lastly, check in with your child. Ask them why they're feeling that way. Are they feeling that way because they've had one bad result? Are they feeling that way because they're tired? Are they feeling that way because today they just did not want to do it? Or they found out that all of their friends are doing something and they can't do it? Or is it that it's a much bigger problem? Really check in with them, because if it is a much bigger problem, then you and them need to sit down and work out if it really is the right path for them. Because pushing them down a path that they really don't want to go down is not necessarily healthy. Now, you know your child best, so you will know if they're saying, I don't want to do it, and they are tired, that's probably the reason. But if they're saying it over and over again, and they've been telling you this for months, you might want to sit and talk about why it is they're feeling that way, and why it is that maybe they give it a go, but maybe you ease off. And really, that's why I say check in. Some students, they do really, really well at being pushed. And really good at being competitive and being in that kind of group scenario and competing with each other and also helping each other out. Others prefer a one-to-one approach, but make sure that you're checking in with your child, especially if they're showing kind of those signs of underconfidence. And then we got the flip side, the overconfidence. I don't need to do this anymore. I scored really well in the mock exam. Or I'm going to rush through this paper, and they finish it and they've got 20 minutes and they throw their pencil down and they walk off. I'm done. I'm done. I got it all right. And actually, they didn't. Now, some students have a naturally laid back attitude. And for those students, if it's your child and you know that that is the way that they approach things, that's the way they're going to approach things. And unfortunately, as a parent, you might be sitting there stressing about their attitude, but it's not necessarily going to change them. But occasionally we do see students who maybe peak a little bit too soon or start to kind of plateau and start to go down. And if they are starting to care less, and again, these are all things of suggestion. You know your children much better than I would. You know how they will respond. But sometimes if I have a student who is overconfident, I will show them what their scores look like. And I will say to them, look, this is what it did. It went up, 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 up. And here's where you did your mock. And yes, you did really well in that mock, but this is what's happened since. And I'll say to them, if it keeps going like that till September, then we're not going to be at that mark that we need to be. Again, if they are overconfident, they're rushing, they're sitting there thinking, I can get 100% with absolutely everything, consider giving them a trickier paper. Consider putting them into a mock exam with other students who are preparing for that similar exam, and really exposing them to the fact that sometimes students prepare in a bubble. If we've especially done one-to-one tuition, they can be very much like, this is me, I'm really good at this. And that confidence is great to have. I'm not saying to get rid of that confidence, but sometimes they don't necessarily realize that everybody else around them is taking the same exam. And sometimes just being able to see those other students makes them go, oh, okay, I need to really put my back into it. I really need to go forwards in this, because now I've realized that it's not just me and my tutor or me and my mum preparing. There's other people. Again, something that I typically do with overconfident students, I'll remind them of the tortoise and the hare. That simple little fable that says, if we rush, then we might not get the job done quite as well as if we took it slow and steady. Now, obviously, in 11 plus, it is a balance. It is definitely about making sure that you've balanced slow and steady with finishing the paper. But if you're finding you've got a student who's rushing forwards and they've got loads of time at the end, and actually they aren't using that time effectively to check, then again, you might want to remind them of that. And then lastly, it's a reminder again to talk with them, because sometimes overconfidence can mask underconfidence. So they can be rushing through and finishing because they're worried about something. And you could look at it and think, oh, that just seems like they're really overconfident. But actually, they could be very worried about something. And if you sit down and you discuss it with them, then it's more likely that that will come out. So do let me know in the comments if your child has either overconfidence, underconfidence, whether any of these techniques you've used. Do let me know. Also, just feel free to drop me a message if you need be. Lastly, I can't remember. We've got rushing versus too slow, and often that comes into being overconfident, being underconfident. But really watch your child as they complete those papers. If they don't want you in the room, then you can always set up a little camera. You can always sit in the room and do something completely different. But just watch them and see, do they look out the window? Are they distracted? Do they start off really focused? And then about halfway through, you kind of get that point where they lean back in the chair and they start writing. And at that point, we tend to go, right, okay, maybe you've lost a little bit of that emphasis. Look for topics where they slow it down or where they speed up, but also look for points in the paper. If they are rushing the first 3 questions, you'll find the first 3 questions are incorrect. If at the end they're rushing, you'll find that those questions are incorrect. If they've got if they've lost focus in the middle, you'll find there'll be a point where they'll dip. And then develop a routine around those pain points. So for me, if I have a student who is rushing at the start, I won't say to them miss the questions, because all that will do is move the mistakes later on. It's not to do with the first 3 questions. If you miss those first 3 questions, they'll make the same mistakes in the next 3 questions. But I'll say to them, do the whole paper, and then you have to go back and redo questions 1 to 3, or 1 to 4, 1 to 5. And that way they will get their own mistakes, and they will really work on their own pain points. So try and develop that routine around where you're noticing those mistakes. So, as I said, we're coming to the end of today's talk. Thank you ever so much for joining me, by the way. It's been an absolute pleasure. Get your ducks in a row. And I said this last time, but again, it's worth reiterating with 3 months to go. Things get booked quickly. And lots of people know exam registration closes earlier. Saba did a great post a week or so ago, with lots of dates and lots of reminders on the 11 plus journey page, and really some of those dates are very, very soon. Some of them are past. It's really important to make sure that you're up to date with them. And if you're in year 4, do try and get organized. Try and get all of those bits sorted, because group classes book quickly for September. PTA mocks book really quickly. Schools change syllabuses. You want to make sure that you are one of the first people to know this. You're not finding out months after everybody else. So get organized, get sorted. So that's it from me. I want to say thank you ever so much to Saba. She runs a great group here at the 11 Plus Journey, and she's very lovely to let me come on and speak to you all. I love doing these, I really do, and please do add questions into those comments, because I'll be coming back. I'll be looking through them, and I'll be adding a couple of links just to help you guys as well. Do check out the 11plusjourney.com. .co.uk, because it's a really great resource. Continue to ask questions here in the 11 Plus Journey Facebook group, and that's pretty much it from me. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, and I will be doing another one of these when we've got 2 months to go. So I'm going to do 4, 3, 2, and 1. There we are. And I'll be back joining you in a month, just to talk over what we should be doing when we've only got 2 months remaining. So thank you, and good night. Bye-bye.